values are changing, and what a lot of us and a lot of people are refocusing on what's important in life. And when I was thinking about the current housing crisis, I don't actually want the wheels of industry or of that industry to start turning again, and not in the way that they were turning, because those wheels took us up a pretty ugly cul-de-sac. And what creative thinking and what design can do is actually much more than something that's shiny and new and about colour and about something that's just visual. It can actually go much deeper than that. And design is about looking at new ways of which we're going to live our life. And as a designer, I say this to all our team. In fact, we don't employ anybody who doesn't think like that. But the whole reason for design is to push and to move human beings onto something that's better. Simple as that. Not something that's changing from black to brown, or yellow to pink, or spots to stripes, or round to square, or what shape of the roof of a house is. It's actually, does it make your life better? And that's not just about. So if there's, who are manufacturers in here? Just so I know, get an idea of manufacturers compared. There's quite a lot of manufacturers in here. And I'm sure you're not the kind of manufacturers who think that a designer is to be brought in just to give some surface appeal to a product. It's miles more than that. Successful companies realise that designers can actually do so much more and should actually sit with you on the strategy of where your company's going, because we have a very different way of thinking, and that's just a human nature thing about how brains can be. And I think most designers think about quality of life, and quite happily for me now, quality of life has risen right up to the very front of agendas. Last year Copenhagen won the most livable city award, and they were able to make fantastic capital out of being the most livable city. We have spent the last, I don't know, 15 years since my eldest kid's 20, nearly 23 now, since they were old enough to travel as a group of 6 of us and be comfortable, just going around cities and enjoying, and we know, like lots of other people, we know what a livable city is, and luckily now that there are all sorts of indices being measured. A Business Week, and this is not some hippies. It sounds like when you say livable cities, you can imagine people think, oh, it's a lot of hippies, then what's livable and what? But it's Business Week, it's The Economist, it's Mercer's in America. All of these people are measuring the world's most livable city. And it's about the economy, it's about all sorts of things. But ultimately, it's about good design. That is the one thing that's a common thread through all of this livability. And, unfortunately, in Britain, in the top 100 cities, at the moment we only ever get one in it, which is London, and it only comes about 30th to 40th. And towns and cities much smaller than Gateshead, never mind Newcastle Gateshead, around the world get into this top 100. And if there's one thing that the Design Centre North should try and achieve, and is that this becomes a place, a town, a conurbation that achieves top 100 livable city status, and if there's one thing that can achieve it, it's that building that's going to be built there. But it's you lot that have got to make it work. And so I don't think you come in here to hear from me how to make a hammer that's going to do things better. Yes, there will be a hammer, I'm sure, out there that can be designed and do something better, but there's a lot more deeper things that can be achieved from this. Vancouver's an amazing location. I don't know if anybody's been there. Vancouver regularly over the last 8 years, I think it's won world's most livable city twice, I think. And yes, it's a wonderful city and amazing. Without a doubt, it's nice around here. You get to the coast pretty easily. You've got a lovely river, but it ain't quite got the natural beauty. Very few places in Britain have got the natural beauty of Vancouver, but Vancouver hasn't become the world's most livable, or didn't become the world's most livable city because it's got Whistler Mountains that you can see, because it's got all this lovely natural, and it's got some bears that come into the city. That's not why it won the world's most livable city. It won it because when you walk around that city, you just see it from the bins to the way that the streets have been designed, to the fact that they can do. I don't particularly like high-rise, but the fact that they do high-rise there that's not 1 and 2 bedroom flats for buy-to-let, but where families with 4 kids could live in them, and when they come down to the bottom when they come down the lift, the kids can come outside and have some of the best play and cycling and all of those things, and they understand livability, but they've employed the best designers to do it. Copenhagen is the current world's most livable city. On 3 of those indices, I think Copenhagen won it last year. And yes, it photographs absolutely amazingly, but it's not the photographs of that adds to part of it. But when you start to look at why it's so livable, it's simple. We can't see it. Can you see these pictures at the back with the brightness? Oh, that's all right. You can. It's things like this: a floating Lido, which cost £240,000 to build, which floats in the harbour, which was the dirtiest part of Copenhagen, where they're doing some major regeneration, where they're attracting people to live. And the first thing that they built was a design icon, a very cheap one, which was this floating Lido, and it's just about one of the most popular things in Copenhagen now. One of the finest bits of urban design that I've ever seen is this. It's a beach. Does anybody know where that beach is? It's on exactly or roughly the same latitude as Gateshead, and it's that is 8 minutes cycle from the central station and Tivoli Gardens in Copenhagen, where there wasn't a beach before. It was an industrial wasteland of an oil refinery and some gas towers. And again, I would say that is the kind of design thinking that we want. Now, has anybody ever ridden on the Vélib in Paris, which was established about 2.5 years ago? This is one of the finest bits of design that I think has been done in the last few years. But what it's done, yes, it's made money. It's totally funded by, well, what's the name of the Adshell people, the international one, famous one. Oh, well, anyway, you'll see it on all the ad shells. You'll see it on... That's the one. You're right, yeah. Well done. Thanks for being my memory. They funded... When you go to Paris now, for those that haven't been in the last 2.5, 3 years, on every major intersection, and I mean every major intersection, that's every 200 to 300 metres, there is a row of bikes like that, where there is this brilliant system, beautifully designed, simple, thought-out swipe card system, where you take any nationality of credit card or debit card, and you swipe it up through this smart little machine. It immediately then takes your details, so you can't nick the bike, and charges you €1, a quid. And then you can use these bikes in any location throughout the city, and I mean any location, all day for 24 hours for €1. You take your bike, you drop it here, you drop it there. But the main reason that it was done was to humanise the city. Paris was getting criticised for being a place that you couldn't walk around to see all the beautiful things very well, because the streets were cars were becoming too fast. You know what it's like. Those who've been to Paris know what it used to be like. You couldn't cross any of the roads outside many of the great attractions because you couldn't get across. Now it's been totally humanised because it's becoming Amsterdam very, very quickly. And the way that they've designed it is absolutely brilliant. It's a design idea, it's a design execution, it's a design solution, and it's bloody fantastic. The greatest, I'm going to finish, I'm not going to talk much about urban design it's not just urban design, it's all the detail that supports that, to support great urban design, which is the most important thing, the places that we live, it needs all of the layers of design underneath it. The best example, which you should all go and travel to at the moment to show how, yes, we're doing a good job in some respects, but we've got to do an much better job than we're doing, and I'm very proud of what we've achieved down at the States, but every time I go there, because as a designer, you naturally always are disappointed. It's true, you're always disappointed as a designer because you know that things can be better. When I go around the States, even though I do think it is the best housing development that's been built in the last 5 years in this country, I do, and I'm not being that big-headed saying that. There's lots of research that proves that. It wins all the awards and people love living there. But it's absolutely that, it's up on the scale of that window compared to what's going on overseas. It only reaches a sill, and that absolutely pisses me off. I don't think we could have done any better because of the constraints in this country at the moment, but it pisses me off. But when you go and see the kind of thinking and the kind of creative thinking that is overseas, and what we are